So like I said, it's something that we ever want to look at, I mean, it's
You
always.
guys are going live, so. Let me know when you're done.
Don coming?
No, he's not, I don't think Larry's gonna be here or Don,
Don's sick. He's sick.
so. He just said he wasn't gonna make it, so I'm not sure.
He's sick or something's coming. When we have a quorum. Does that sound like that? Sounded like it. I can't hear it. I will wind up. I'm off and I'll try to go. Which way is it? Yeah.
Forward is on.
Yeah, this
Towards
is
me.
all forward on.
This stuff gets boring enough. I got that big box of them.
I brought an extra. Thank you. I want it back. Mine, I didn't. Okay, I will call this meeting of Lawrence County Solid Waste Management District to order. It's August 26, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. As we follow the agenda, first item is approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of claims for the period.
Move to approve as presented.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. District Director's report. John?
Sorry.
Good morning.
Morning. Needs to be pulled towards you.
It is. Okay, we'll start off today in your agenda packet. You'll turn over to page 8. Just a reminder of the remaining budget meetings that we have coming up with the county council. Our public hearing will be on Tuesday, September the 16th at 4:30. And the budget adoption meeting will be on Thursday, October 7th at 4:30 p.m. So again, these are with the Lawrence County Council that will be presenting our budget to them. So number 2 on your agenda is the City of Bedford Fall Clean Sweep. The dates that are set for that are September the 22nd through the 27th. And the plan is, we've always done this for the city, but we're requesting a tipping fee waiver during that period at the transfer station for construction and demolition debris and tires. You'll all let them note that generally that end of that week that they have that, they'll normally have a few days the following week that they're still bringing in some things that they've collected for that time period. items collected from residential households, no businesses, as part of the clean sweep event and delivered to the district's transfer station. So at this time, I'd like to request board approval to waive those tipping fees for that event.
Question. This is, just I was saying last night, this is for your fall clean sweep. Mitchell doesn't do a fall?
They did last year, but they have not requested one this year.
Because I know we approved the other ones for Mitchell and Bedford.
Well, I would suggest, I'd just make a suggestion that when they may not be doing one, but if they do one.
They did one last year in September, because they were trying to prepare for the festival,
Right.
but he hasn't,
Right, yeah.
they haven't mentioned anything so far this year.
Let's do the city of Bedford, and then when Mitchell comes to us, we'll be more than happy to, or I will be,
Yeah.
to approve it.
Well, the time framework of
Right.
that, depending on when they,
Because we won't have another meeting until September. I think our next one's in
It's the
23rd.
week of the festival.
Yeah.
you want a motion approving it if they decide to have one?
I guess, it doesn't, it's really,
It's whatever you want.
Probably we could do that, yeah. We'll just start with the city of Bedford, and if we want to make another motion.
I'll make a motion to approve both,
okay. We have a
if
motion,
Mitchell does decide.
we have a motion to approve the city of Bedford's fall clean sweep tipping fee waiver, and Mitchell, if so requested. So, I have a motion, second.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries.
All right, on number 3 on your agenda there on page 8 is the transfer station floor maintenance project update. The district's engineering firm has been on site and actually been on site with a representative from the floor topping manufacturing. And they're in that process of doing that evaluation. Nothing's been reported at this point. The plan is that they'll have recommendations along with cost estimates for planning and budgeting purposes available at our meeting on September 23rd. So again, as I mentioned the last meeting, I think there's many parts of that floor in good condition. There may be some that have worn out significantly, but that's the determination they're trying to make at this point, whether or not we need to do something. If so, they'll point to those areas that they think we should do something, whether it's now or sometime in the future. So we should have that information on the 23rd. So. If you turn over to page 10, this is for grinding services at the compost facility and also at the Murray Park location where there's stockpile material as well. So at a couple meetings ago, we discussed Bob Ray Company had presented a proposal that included a damage provision if they have contaminated materials in that material that they're processing at our facilities that causes damage to their equipment. So we asked them to provide some clarity of what that responsibility would be for that damage. Prior to that, there's no clarity. We didn't have any ceilings or anything as to what could potentially be our cost there. So in response to that, they give us two quotes, and I'll just start with the compost facility, which is there by the transfer station. I just want to read this. Within that proposal, it says materials to be free of contaminants such as rocks, dirt, metal, concrete. Damages to equipment caused by contaminated materials will be reviewed immediately by Jamie Draper, which he's with Bob Ray Company, and Ron Walker. A damage report including replacement parts and labor costs will be provided for review. Lawrence County Solid Waste will agree to 100% of liability for damage incurred The new thing they added was they gave us an actual dollar amount. Before, there was nothing in there. So these grinders are very, they're probably $1 million piece of equipment. So you'll notice in another quote here from Tri-State, they pretty well said the same thing, but they didn't give a limit on it. Their concern is they come down here to process material, they get into something outside of wood waste that they didn't expect, where it be a piece of metal, something that causes damage to their grinding equipment. So I did present this to our attorney, Brent Still, and you can kind of see both points, where they're saying, hey, we're coming in to grind, we don't know what's in there, and we need some protection there. Our insurance company, they did say that according to our policy, and I'll take you back to page 12. If you look at page 12 on top, I did communicate with Miles about our insurance if something were to happen. So on page 12 at the top, it basically says, since the district is assuming this liability by contract, the contractual liability exclusion would apply. The coverage for damage to the contractor's equipment should be covered by their own inland marine policy. The contractor may be trying to mitigate their risk by passing this expense for potential damage to the district. So that's what Miles had provided me as far as that.
The other thing that I'll say, and I've not spent a lot of time thinking about this, but who's gonna inspect their equipment when they show up on the site? Yeah.
Bob Ray, they have done this for the past several years for us in the city. We've not had any issues with them thus far, as far as this goes. I think there was a time when they did get into a piece of metal. I don't know what kind of damage. I know the equipment went down, but they never charged us, but whether or not they will or not in the future. I think you're seeing this with a lot of these companies that just don't. They're going to have to be sites of getting damage to their equipment from products that shouldn't be in there, so they're trying to cover themselves for that.
So they simply grind up the different types of vegetation, probably tree limbs.
Brush and logs and stones.
So how can we control a fence post being left in a tree that somebody's, I mean,
It's pretty
we don't know what it is either.
Yeah. We do some pre-screening, but again, you're trusting whatever's in those loads is not going to have anything that's, and when the guys push it up, they try to look for things, but with so much up there, if you've ever been up there, it's just a huge pile. It would be hard to know what could potentially be in there. Again, knock on wood, nothing's happened this far where we had to end up paying, but I believe they have gotten some things in there, but we've never gotten charged for it, so. So the Bob Ray proposal there, proposal on page 9, if you'll turn to page 9, their price to do the compost facility is a lump sum of $14,600 at the Murray Park location. That lump sum total will be $17,305. And any additional work that went beyond that lump sum total would be on an hourly rate. So you see at the bottom what their hourly rate is. The proposal basically says that if there's any additional work that's required, they have to contact me first. It has to be approved through an email, approval process before they can do anything else. So I want to go ahead and go over to page 10, and we'll go through. We've got 2 more quotes here. Forest Commodities provided a quote as well on page 10. At our compost facility, based on the size and quantity there, they didn't want to give us a lump sum. All they wanted to do is give us an hourly rate, so you can see their hourly rates for our facility. And then for the Murray Park location, they did give us a lump sum amount of $25,000. I will note that our location at the compost facility, I'd say has a significant amount more than what you're seeing at the city of Bedford. So at that Murray Park location, so I would assume that would definitely be more than $25,000 for that hourly rate at the compost facility. Tri-State Forestry. They're out of Noblesville, Indiana. And at the top there, you'll see the underlined paragraph there. What they wrote in theirs is Tri-State Forestry is not responsible for non-wood material found in the brush pile. We will do our best to ensure that no non-wood material goes through our machinery, but in the instance of a piece of non-wood material which has damaged our machinery, Lawrence County Solid Waste District will be responsible for the damages and the outcome. So they don't even go limit on that. If you look at their quote below that on the 2 bullet points for the compost facility, they're kind of going at an hourly rate of $1,250 per hour with a mobilization charge of $5,300. And they're estimating, this is their estimate, that the pile would take approximately 9 days, 8-hour days, with a total cost of $95,300. The city of Bedford's location at Murray Park, that hourly rate you can see is a little less, and that's because they wouldn't have to spread the mulch like they do at ours. Tri-State Forestry estimates that would take 9 8-hour days at a cost of $70,380. So on the next page, on page 12, I've got a breakdown in a little table there that shows you the comparison of all 3 of those. It appears that Bob Ray Company is the lowest of the prices. Like I said, we have used them over the past several years, really not had any issues with them. Not knowing what these others, like Forest Commodities, might be at the compost facility being an hourly rate, we really don't know. But also keeping in mind with Bob Ray Company that if additional work is needed, we'd have to approve it first. They'd have to send me that before we did more. But in the past, if it has happened, it's not went over significantly or went really crazy over that amount. On page 13, I indicate that we do have a $30,000 appropriation balance to do compost processing. I think the total for Bob Ray is a little bit over that, so what we'd have to do is transfer some revenues from another line item, which I don't see any problems with us, having the money to do that. So at this point, I would ask that the board, consider, Bob Ray Company as the one we use to do it for the prices that they proposed. $14,600 for the compost facility, and at the city of Bedford's Murray Park location was $17,305.
Okay, you've heard the request, do I have a motion to approve?
And just a reminder again, the new language, the reason I came back with this again was the fact to try to clarify what our responsibility could be. Hopefully nothing comes up, but at this point, I don't know.
I'll make the motion to accept Bob Ray's.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right.
Thank you. And then there on page 13, actually it's going to be resolution 2025-03, which is actually found on page 14. So if we go ahead and turn to page 14, we went through this, most all this at our last meeting, so I won't read every part of it. What I will do is, what we wanted to clarify is, as far as the approving the state claims in writing, if you go to the bottom where it shows now therefore be it resolved, we'll go to number 2. It says Lawrence County Solid Waste Management District Board of Directors determines pursuant to IC 1321-310C, the controller is hereby authorized to make claim payments without claims being first approved by the board for the following: the payroll, state solid waste management fee imposed by IC 1320-22-1, and claims of those vendors identified in the list of approved vendors attached here to and incorporated as set forth and marked as Exhibit A. And this is the list that we went through the last board meeting, and it is attached. This list may be amended by the board of directors as necessary for administration And then the next paragraph is the one we were having questions on our last meeting. Provided, however, the chairperson of the district board of directors or the chairperson's designee from the membership of the board of directors must approve said claims in writing before the claims are approved by the controller or paid by the controller. Written approval may be obtained by electronically sending the chairperson or chairperson's designee as appropriate a copy of the claims with a place for signature, which, upon electronic signature or written signature, may be electronically returned to the controller. All such claims as approved by this resolution shall be reviewed and allowed by the board of directors at its next regular special meeting. So we just provided more clarity as to what's acceptable. I'm thinking maybe something like a DocuSign document. I know that was mentioned at the previous board meeting, where, we could send it, to the chair, Rodney, and he would, go ahead and sign it off on that. Another, I guess, potential option we could look at as well is, in addition to this, is let's say every 2 weeks, for instance, Rodney, you're usually here for the commissioners' meetings, and maybe having a sheet over here for you to, not at the meeting, but just to look at and approve and sign, just to have that copy, so. I did see where DocuSign is approximately $10 a month for the level we would probably using it for. If there's any questions regarding that clarity that we provided or any comments.
I use DocuSign on other instruments, and there's never been any fee. I'm kind of surprised. It doesn't make any difference, $10. Maybe the organization that I'm signing for
I think they probably
assumes the fee charge, but that's okay.
I think our main goal is here and when it being the controller, is just making sure we're not paying interest on anything. And, I think, that's a requirement, the state board accounts, obviously doesn't want us paying any interest or late fees, so having this in place, having a way to make sure we're keeping things paid in a timely manner, utilities being a big part of that as well. And again, on the page 16, which is the exhibit, that's the same list that we provided you at the last meeting as well. These would be the pre-approved vendors for anything done in this situation, so.
Understand, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Just one thing I want you to clarify. On that right there, so the chair would have to okay this before these are paid, correct?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think, Ronnie, you brought this up. I think, to me, I agree that is the most approved said claims in that they would have to be approved before the controller would be paying them. I don't know that it necessarily says that, I don't think it says that you have to approve it.
No, we don't have to approve them, but before they're paid, we
You
have.
have to, yes, that's correct.
We have the option not to. For example, this is not gonna happen, but if she would submit something to the chairperson, and the chairperson disagrees with it, they can refuse to sign it. But once it's approved, then we need to sign it. Whoever the chairperson is would need to sign it. So that's just, it's a legal wording that I disagreed with when the county did our resolution, so.
Yeah, so basically, let's say we use the DocuSign, we would send a document to Rodney as the chairperson, or if he designates someone else, and then they would review it. If they agree with it, there would be a place where they could electronically sign that and forward it back. Well, it would automatically forward back to the controller. I was also thinking as a secondary option, if there was a time like we brought a list here prior to the meeting that you had here already, and you could just, if you review it, sign it that way as well.
Or come to your office and sign it there.
Correct. Either, several ways you could look at it, so.
Okay, thank you all. Bill, tell the girls to come in and shut this off. Tell the girls to come in and shut this off, please. You can do that